is it going, people? I have come out for a much needed, I don't know what you would call it. We've been in, not a lockdown, but we've been in sort of a perimeter closure for a long time with COVID. We come out a while ago, but it just takes a while, doesn't it, to adjust back into sort of semi-normal life. We still can't camp overnight because we've got a curfew at night time. We have to be back in the house by like 10 o'clock, I think it is. So yeah, I've come out today over the Easter bank holiday weekend. It's a Friday now. I've come out to do a cook in one of my favourite little spots up in the Sierra Nevada mountain range near where I live. Come up here just to have a little sit down, just pretend like I'm going to camp for the night, get that feeling of having an overnighter again. And I'm just going to do a nice little cook for you today. I've wanted to retry a spaghetti in like a creamy white sauce for a while now, because the cooks that I was doing before are fine for car camping. It's proper cooking really, like the stew and stuff that I've done previously, but it's not great for bike packing. I did a bike packing trip that I recorded but never uploaded the video because it was a tough ride and it was difficult to get good footage. And I realised during that trip that carrying raw meat and stuff like that is sort of fraught with disaster. I had beef defrosted in my bag which leaked everywhere, and it was just a bit of a disaster. So I'm reverting to kind of like I want to try out a more bike packing orientated cook, which is still going to be a good cook, you know, from scratch, but using tins of stuff and you know, and ingredients that are easy to carry. So that's what we're doing today. So let's go and get some water and I'll show you the setup that we've got here. So this is where we are. A bit cloudy at the moment. You can just see the mountains peeking through there in the background. This is my truck camper setup. You can see my camera set up there for cooking. I no longer sleep in this truck. I have done a few times on camping nights, but I'm thinking about getting a swag, an Australian style swag, just to unload from the back of the truck and to use for camping, for car camping. So this is the top of the Asakia system in Spain. This water is fine to drink if it's boiled up. So I'm going to grab some of this for the cook. Beautiful. So that's the water. As you can see, I'm going to be cooking on my Trangia 27 today. When I'm bike packing, this cook will actually be obviously with much less cooking stuff and the smaller Trangia Mini Trangia 28, but this is what I'm using today. So let's unpack some ingredients. So let's get this water on the boil and then we'll have a quick look at the ingredients for the cook. Nice little pressure build up there from travelling up to this altitude. Probably gained a couple of 3,000 feet driving up here. Perfect. So that's our water on the boil. So for this cook, I'm kind of using that thin pen pasta. I think that's what you call it, penne. There'd be some Italian pronunciation that I don't know. Just going to chuck a bit of olive oil in the water and some salt, which is too big for my shaker. Perfect. I'm actually going to put the pasta in there from the get-go so as I'm not wasting fuel. So the idea being, as the water boils, it cooks the pasta, and I can also then leave it in the boiling water, take it off the heat and leave it in the hot water to continue cooking while I do the rest of the cook. So I'm not going to call this spaghetti carbonara because that's not what it is. That would be a kind of an insult to the traditional dish. It's pasta in a creamy white sauce with some real nice stuff for flavours, but then, like I said just now, I'm reverting to, this is kind of a spam, it's just pork in a tin, so that's going to obviously be my main kind of protein source in this cook. I've got tinned mushrooms instead of carrying fresh mushrooms for ease. I've got some cooking cream, and this is actually sin lactose, so this is the cream for the creamy sauce. I've got just a clove of garlic there. I've got some pasta and pizza cheese, filato, I don't know what that is. It should be good melting cheese basically. And then the real sort of secret ingredient is this, which is a nice piece of Serrano ham pancetta. So it's nice fat, salty, nice fatty, salty. It's not really the meat so much, it's the fat up here. Contains a lot of salt and just tons of flavour. Serrano ham in Spain, jamon, is kept on the side, so once you cut it and start taking slices off it, kind of like Parma ham, the Serrano ham just sits on the kitchen counter in the kitchen without any other form of cooling or anything like that. So something like this would be fine to carry in your backpack or in your bikepacking luggage for, for quite a while really, as long as it's not too hot. It will take people 4 weeks to eat a Serrano ham on the side, and they'll keep chopping lumps off it like they would with this. It will probably be unusable quicker when wrapped in plastic like I had to, but it'll still be fine for a week, at least. When they put it on the side in the kitchen in Spain, it's underneath just like a tea towel, just something that allows it to breathe but just keeps it covered up. So that's the secret ingredient really. Now obviously with it being tins and sort of this cream isn't even stored in the fridge, so this will last a couple of days. Once it's been opened, it will last for weeks in closed like that. All of these ingredients will last an incredible amount of time. And it's a nice easy carry. So it's a really good camping recipe. It's really good ingredients, with obviously the pancetta bringing a fantastic flavour to the dish that otherwise the Spam wouldn't. And obviously the great thing as well with this dish is I'll probably use about half of that tin of ham, which means that I've got Spam and egg sandwich for breakfast the next day as well. So yeah, so let's just get on with it. So I'm just going to cut this pancetta into some, real nice little chunks. I mean, really, this would be enough, for the dish, this meat here, this meat and fat. But yeah, the intention I had for the cook was that the Spam was going to make up the bulk of the protein, and this is sort of for the flavour. So that's what I'm going to do. Perfect. Okay, so that's just been boiling for literally a couple of minutes there. I'm going to see how much it cooks through just by sitting in the hot water. So I'm going to take it off the heat. I'm going to put on top that little beast. And then what I'm going to do is I'm an advocate for, I'm not an advocate, that's a bit of a serious word, but I'm a fan of these Coke can little simmer rings. Sort of gives you in between what the simmer ring does in the fully open position and no simmer ring. So it's a bit hotter than a simmer ring. These gloves are so good, just like an oven glove. Just saves all the faff that you get with a Trangia. It's fine, I can use a Trangia fine without it. But why burn yourself and singe your hand hairs when you don't have to? Okay. So let's get that on the heat. I'm not going to use any oil because I'll be able to pull some oil, or hopefully be able to pull some oil out of the pancetta, obviously. So we'll go in with the pancetta. And just let that start to heat up and sizzle. While that's happening, I'm going to take my Spam, because I don't dislike the flavour of Spam either, so I think it's got something to give to the dish in terms of flavour, not just in terms of sort of protein. So I'm gonna try. I haven't cooked with Spam for a long time. I was always a fan of Spam and egg sandwiches. I've never cooked with it like this before, I don't think. And obviously what's left there is going to be a Spam and egg sandwich, which I might make in a minute as well. Obviously when you're cooking at home, people tend to try and remove fat from stuff. You know, when you're bike packing and when you're camping and when you're exerting energy, fat is flavour, and you can do with it when you're out and about. In with that. And then also on the flavour front, I've just got a big garlic clove here. I'm just going to use my Trangia pot lifter to just crush that. And then we're just going to drop that in the middle of that lot for, you know, just for a bit of extra flavour. And let that simmer away. Now, I'm not a huge fan of tinned mushroom, obviously. I don't think anyone is when they've got the choice. But for this dish, I think it's going to be totally fine. What I am going to do is I'm just going to get rid of the fluid in it because I don't want too much of that flavour in there. I just want the, you know, I just want the mushrooms in there. So it's windy today, and I'm not getting enough heat off the Trangia, so I'm going to get rid of that Coke can. Okay, so just going to drop the mushrooms in there as well, get them going. Pepper is crucial to this, so I'm going to start loading it up now. So my pasta is still cooking away down here. I'm just going to check on that and make sure I drain it when it needs to be drained, or it may need to go back on the heat, which is fine because it's obviously still got water in there. Yeah, it's cooked through now. I'm just going to leave the water on there because the top few bits of pasta weren't cooked, so just leave it in there for a little bit longer. That's pretty good. I'm going to go in with the sauce now, the cream, which is going to make the sauce. I'm going to put a bit in and then give it a good shake. This is cooking cream. Single cream's fine as well, double cream's fine, any cream's fine for cooking, I reckon. I'm sure I'm sure the cooking cream is better, but this is my first time using cooking cream, and only because it was the perfect size little pot and it was lactose free, which I wanted to have a go at. Obviously the more cream you use, the more saucy it's going to be. I don't plan on putting an egg in it this time. I will put the cost of the cook on the side here as well, because one of the reasons I like to cook my own food is because, one, just because I like to cook my own food, that's just my preference, and two, camping food is very expensive. Dehydrated camping food, I think, is very, very expensive most of the time. I know there's some cheap ones out there, but it is quite expensive, so I'm going to put the cost of this cook up on the screen there now. Everything's very cheap, including the pancetta. The pancetta was $3.60 and I used about a tenth of it, so it was probably 36 cents, 36 euro cents. A bit more pepper, It tastes really nice already. And then I'm going to drain off my pasta, which is now kind of cool enough to handle like this. Almost cool enough. Great little thing, this strainer slash lid. That's that pasta cooked through, lovely, still hot enough to, you know, I'll heat it up with the sauce in it in a minute, but yeah, it's still nice and hot. I'm just tasting this as I go. That tastes lovely as it is. Certainly doesn't need any salt because of that pancetta. So we're going to go in with some of this cheese, pasta cheese. That's going to thicken the sauce up nicely. The garlic has done its work now, so I'm going to get rid of that. No, I'm not. I'm going to keep... yes, I am going to get rid of it. I've only really... It's not cooked all the way through. I wouldn't say I've kind of just sweated the outside of it and got a load of the flavour out of it. Well, it is almost cooked through, so I've just bit it in half to help it finish off. And that can stay in there. I like whole garlic. I like it roasted. And that sauce has thickened up nicely. And it tastes exactly how I want it to. So I'm going to come off with this. Super easy, this, obviously. I'm going to go on with my Coke can. I'm going to go on with that. And then obviously I'm going to go in with this. And obviously this is probably a 2-person feed, or sort of, pasta's great cold. Pasta's great for keeping, no problem. So this is kind of, if you're a bit of an animal like me, this is an evening meal and a breakfast, or it could be, you know, an after ride or hike meal and then an evening snack as well. And that is it. As easy as that. And so this is what we're left with. Let's have a taste. We've obviously used nothing unnecessary like an egg. You know, if eggs are great in like a carbonara slash white pasta dish, but there's no need to use it when you do it like this, when you've got that cream, and it just saves you packing that extra egg. Well, so you saw the view that I had just now. You're probably getting a bit of wind noise there. Oh, I'm going to sit down. I should really move my stool up there and get a better look at my chair. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to tuck into this before it goes cold. Okay, we've got to have a look at a bit of eating, haven't we? That's it. Delicious. I'm shaking like a dog shitting off a cliff, but... Oh yeah. White sauce and beards don't go. Really good, and super flavourful. That's why I wanted to try this. Really easy carry, obviously loads of carbohydrates, packed full of like good fats and protein as well. And that pancetta, and interestingly enough the spam as well, give it such a delicious flavour. The pancetta is definitely doing most of the work in terms of the taste that I like, and making it taste like a you know, food that you would be quite happy to eat at home as well, which I think is the goal. We're camping most of the time, but super tasty, and really happy with how that's turned out, because it has kind of good food implications for bike packing. I can cook whatever I want in the truck, you know what I mean? I could get a gas cooker, I could get a couple of Trangias going, and I could cook exactly the same stuff as I cook at home, like, you know. But I really want to find some good recipes. The stew that I did, which was a really nice food, and some other cooks I've done are all really good, but I learned quite quickly, because I'm new to bike packing, that it wasn't practical. It wasn't practical, you know, carrying raw meats. It meant that you had to carry either really good Ziploc bags that are 100% don't leak or burst, which is, you know, quite an ask when it's rattling around in your bag next to other stuff all the time. Or really, you need to be carrying Tupperware, which is a nuisance because it just takes up too much room. So obviously this being tins and then just a tiny little piece of pancetta make it a super easy cook. So I'm just going to sit and enjoy this. Just a little taste update now that I'm probably covered with food in my beard and have it all in my teeth. I did want to mention it because now that I've eaten the whole meal, I can obviously appreciate the different flavours, what was good about it, what was bad about it, and that's of course what recipe videos are about, that you can just go out and cook it yourself without any problems. I would have probably used, you could see the kind of portions I had there. I would probably use about half the amount of pancetta because it's really salty, really gives off a lot of flavour and a lot of salt. It only needed half of that. Fine for me. Still 100%, you know, really tasty, but that's just something that would for sure improve it, is just less pancetta. Obviously that depends on the kind of pancetta that you're using. If you get pancetta from a packet, it won't be the same as like proper cured ham-on pancetta. That's going to be of the saltier variety, like, you know. I'd probably cut it into smaller chunks as well, because when you hit a piece of pancetta in the food itself, it's just like hitting a cube of salt to a degree, which again, I like food salty, but you have to have the nutritional side of things in mind to a degree as well, for sure. And the other thing was, I was so pleasantly surprised how nice tinned mushrooms are in a dish like that. My experience with them in the past is that I didn't like them in a fry up, but in a dish like that, really good. So it just soaked up all of the flavour, contributed a little bit to the flavour of the dish as a whole, but also, you know, soaked up the flavour of the dish and made for a real nice, easy to pack addition to the dish. So that's it. Thank you very much. I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.